we're going to go ahead and get started. We'll begin by saying the Pledge of Allegiance. The flag is over here on this side of the room. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, up next we have our land acknowledgement. As we gather for this meeting, let us take a moment to reflect on the meaning of place, and in doing so, recognize the various traditional lands on which we do our business today. We wish to acknowledge this land on which this SBC meeting is taking place. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Hohokam, the Akimel O'odham, and most recently, the Salt River Pima Indian community. Today, this meeting place is still the home to many indigenous people from across Maricopa, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to live and work on this land. Okay, on today's agenda, we're going to have a question and answer with the superintendent, and it says superintendent instead of Dr. Menzel because we weren't sure if he would be back from his trip, and Dr. Benson is here as well, so we are extra lucky today. The topic of today's meeting is the Sister School program, and we have Margaret Cerna to speak and also several representatives from paired schools who are going to tell us what they've been up to as well. And then we'll end the meeting as we normally do with some executive board updates and any SPC rep announcemements. Okay, so if you have a question for Dr. Menzel and you've not put it in the basket, there's index cards over there on the table. You can write one and bring it up as I'm talking. Okay, where are, oh, there you are. So last month, SPC hosted a teen driver safety event. During the question and answer, it came up asking about driver's ed, and because the older people in the room were like, we used to have it when we were in high school. Is that something that SUSD can offer? I'm guessing it can't be offered as a class because it's not, but maybe as some kind of community partnership.
If we did it, it would have to be through community education, so I need to talk with Christine Bono to see what it would cost and whether or not we could actually partner with a provider to find maybe some discounts given the price of being able to access that. So I don't know what the market is like now because it has shifted significantly, because I was taught by a teacher who was doing a supplemental work. I remember it was terrifying, but you know, don't spill my coffee. But yeah, so it's something we'll look into to see if community ed either has some ideas, has a potential partner, or if there are some ways that we can figure out how to get the cost down to something that's a bit more manageable.
Okay. What is the status of teacher contracts, and what is the retention rate for teachers this year?
So teacher contracts went out before spring break. They were due April 8th, right? Yeah, the date, I was trying to remember. They were due the 8th. Last I saw, Dr. Benson, there were, what, 92% had turned theirs in. So that's a good response rate. There are some who missed the deadline and for various reasons, and so then there's a process for next steps there. But 92%, I think we generally hover in the return rate of 92 to 94% when the contracts go out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so can you tell us where you just were?
I can.
Yeah.
So over the course of the last 5 days, I was at an event that ASU helps put on. It's called the ASU plus GSV Summit. So Arizona State University, Global Silicon Valley is the GSV. And they've done it since 2010. When it was started at SkySong. It has now grown to be an international event. For the main summit, they said, more than 7,000 participants, not only from across the country, but from around the world. And the summit brings together educators, K-12 as well as post-secondary, venture capitalists, people who are entrepreneurs who are working on all sorts of solutions and opportunities and ideas. And this year, the conference was almost completely around the topic of artificial intelligence. Last year, I mean, they cover a lot of things from workforce development and trends in K-12 as well as post-secondary, a lot of different topics that bring together those different interests that are part of the summit. But AI was the most attended session last year, and so they kind of capitalized on that and made it really the theme. On top of that, they did something that was new, and they call it the AIR Show. So AI Revolution in Education, AIR, and they call it the AIR Show. They held that at the convention center, and the report was 15,000 people were there, and they were educators. I don't believe they charged educators any fee for participating. And it was fast-hitting. You had startups that are working on new ideas, some people who've been in the AI space longer. There were, Bill Nye, the science guy, talked for a few minutes, and that was also very interesting in terms of his take on what's good about AI and what's dangerous about AI, and he had a little humorous twist to it. There's a company called TeachFX that records teachers. Now, this is for their own benefit. They'll record in a classroom a lesson. Teacher decides, hits the record button. They use, and it's not generative AI, it's a different tool, to analyze how much the teacher's talking, how much the students are talking, how much group work is going on, so that a teacher can get that feedback, and it's confidential between the teacher, and if the teacher wants to talk with their coach, they can do it, but it's really for the teacher to say, okay, what went well, what didn't, because we know the more students are engaged in their learning, the more they're going to process and cement the learning. And sometimes you don't even know, how that's falling out in your classroom. And so they've used AI, I think they started in 2018. And there are a number of other providers. But the thing that's terrifying is the rate of change and what it can do. So a professor from Wharton, Eric Mollett, was one of the keynote speakers. And I was blown away by what he said. I bought his book and have been reading it on the way home. The advances. So we're not quite to the general intelligence phase of artificial AGI, artificial general intelligence, which would put it on par with human intelligence. But we're also maybe not that far away from it. And the difference between what ChatGPT 3.5 could do and what 4.0 could do is astronomically better, more accurate, more human-like in terms of its response. And so in his book, he goes through the math behind how some of this happens. But at the end of the day, here's the big takeaway. There are things that can help make teachers' lives easier. There are things that can help us personalize education to meet the learning needs of our students, regardless of where they are. You can't do it apart from the teachers. And so being able to identify the strategies to support teachers and learning how to utilize the tools will be part of our challenge. We've got a group here that's been working on AI for a period of time just to play in the sandbox. We are an early adopter of Magic Schools, and they have a lot of different things that teachers can use. They also have a student-facing part of Magic Schools. We haven't utilized that yet. The owner-operator, the CEO of Magic Schools was formerly a teacher and a principal who left schools to do this. I mean, so we heard some really compelling personal narratives about the why behind the work that people are doing. And again, it's not a silver bullet, but bringing together people who generally all agreed that no matter what, you can't solve the most intractable problems in our communities, from poverty to hunger to climate change to whatever the problem is, you can't solve it without focusing on education. So what we're doing to prepare the next generation, harness the power of the technology and its developments, but it's still, at its core, a human enterprise. And so how do we engage with humans and this technology in a way that helps make things better for everybody?
How do you see AI coming into SUSD? Like, I know me and some other people in this room were met with Dr. Watt to look over some of the guidelines for student facing. Yeah, where do you see this? I mean, it's coming, so.
Well, it's here, and sometimes people aren't even aware of the ways it's here. And so there are simple little things that people do, from drafting an initial IEP, which is if you put the right, so prompt engineering is one of the things people talked about. If you know how to ask the right questions, you can get some really good, sophisticated output. It's probably an 80% solution, and you still have to do the last 20% yourself. One of the teachers from Santa Ana Unified said, what I don't use AI for is a one-click solution for anything. But I do use it as a thought partner. So think about creative ideas for a lesson plan related to, so here's the standard, here's what I'm hoping to identify, and it will spit out all sorts of ideas, and it does it in a fraction of the time. Even if you were just sitting with a colleague and brainstorming, it does it a whole lot faster. So there are ways to enhance the teaching and learning opportunity. it can translate into almost any language. And so if you've got a language barrier, you can use AI and it will do it very reliably. Not perfect, but very reliably. So it can eliminate barriers. And from a streamlining workflow process, there's a whole lot that can be automated. So when I do my question of the week for staff, I just dump in all of the responses into Claude, and I say theme the responses to this, and it gives, in one page, it's not more than a page, bulleted, succinct summary of what our people said. Something that would have taken me probably an hour to 2 hours to digest, think about, and then craft in a nice little succinct way. It does it like that. And it resonates, because when I see it and I've read all the verbatim text, I'm like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. So there are ways to do it. There's a tool, and I haven't investigated it, but I talked to some colleagues who are using it, called Brisk, that analyzes the writing of students. So think about all the papers high school English teachers have to grade. Well, if you can have AI look at that, and because it's becoming more sophisticated, it can do a pretty good job. Now the teacher can spend time working directly with students on how they improve their practice and reflecting on what's been done, instead of evenings and weekends grading all these papers. And by the time you get to the 30th essay on the same topic, your eyes might have glazed over, and so your good job might be all you have versus something more substantive. So the power of AI to be able to automate some of those things, again, not substituting for the teacher's judgment, but enhancing that, I think is pretty encouraging.
Why do you think it's important for you to go to conferences like this? Like, how does it benefit SUSD?
So not everything can be brought to Scottsdale, although sometimes we do host really cool things in Scottsdale. Not only us, but conferences will come here. But to be able to engage with colleagues from different states, from different walks of life, venture capitalists who are working on innovative ideas, sometimes they just want to pilot things with us. I had an opportunity to walk and talk with I think he is the CFO, he could be the CTO, but I think he's the CFO of Final Sight. So Final Sight acquired Blackboard. Blackboard's the company that did our website. Our website's getting retooled. And he said, hey, if you have 15 minutes, I'd love to talk. So we took a walk between sessions, and he shared some of the other things that their company's working on, some of which was interesting to me, and I don't know that we've done anything with it, and it's not ready for market yet. But the opportunity is to then talk about, okay, how might we pilot something with them that could benefit our community, would also benefit them from a business perspective, and so there's a win-win there. When you're at those conferences, when you're able to have those conversations, new opportunities emerge that can benefit Scottsdale students, can benefit our staff, and so I think that's why it's important.
Okay, last question, because we started a few minutes late. So and this is for Dr. Benson, how is the Sex Education Committee doing?
Appreciate the question. Are we still on? I think so, yeah. Yeah, you just have to talk loud. Appreciate the question. There we go. The configuration that you are seated in this evening is different because we literally just wrapped up our 4th meeting of our Human Growth and Development Sex Ed Committee this evening. We have one left. We did, it's interesting, this committee work is a little bit different in that we are required to do 60 days public review, not just of the course content, but also of our course of study. So we have to have it narrowed down to each lesson that we're going to be putting forward. So as we're working on that, we wanted to invite parent feedback or community feedback right away. So as we began evaluating resources for consideration, we have not screened anything out. Procurement and committee adoptions, whenever we send out, this is what we're looking for, we host and let an opportunity for all of those materials to be reviewed, and so they've not been vetted to make sure that they're in step with Arizona legislation yet, and so we're being crystal clear about that. But since we've started reviewing, it's not our 60-day review period, but we wanted the public to be able to give us feedback on the resources too. So we have 2 little stations as you walked in this evening. You might have seen that. The better part of about 14 resources we're looking at. Again, everything that we put forward moving forward will be in step with all legal authority, and it's not been screened yet, but we invite parents to come in, and it's a locked down website because we can't have this out for everyone. Vendors, we have to have an agreement with vendors that we have a space for people to come in and look at this, so we can't just open it up to the public because there's a cost associated if we didn't do that. We're not doing right by our vendors. So families are welcome, parents are welcome to come in and take a look. But you're also welcome to wait until we get things buttoned down and we narrow which ones we're looking at and finalize our course of study. And we'll be sharing that at the June governing board meeting when that window starts. So none of that we're even ready for yet, but we just wanted to be super transparent, very invitational to be partnering with our families and our parents in this process, because all sex ed, human growth and development, we know is opt-in only. And so we just want to be really invitational right from the start. So I did want to do a shout out to our committee. It is 10 members plus our 2 governing board members that have agreed to participate in this work. We've had perfect attendance with some of the most significant life experiences you can imagine. The commitment of this group, of this team, to do right by kids and allow parents to have choice moving forward for information for their kids, couldn't be more proud of their commitment and the conversations. So for those of you that are on that, very, very grateful. And we'll see how far we can get with meeting number 5 in a couple weeks. And we'll be sharing that out at the June governing board member as an informational item to provide all of our community members and staff, team members with an update of how far we got. So thank you for asking. Timely question.
Thank you both very much. Thank you, Dr. Menzel. Thank you, Dr. Benson.
Well, thank you, and I just want to give a shout out to the SBC and to Margaret for the sister schools piece, because I think that's really important. And so while I'm not going to be staying for this, I wanted to say thank you, because I think it's represents what we should be doing as a community to support all of our learners.
Okay, so we're going to start talking about sister schools. Margaret's going to speak
Yay.
first, and then so people are watching on live stream, so please speak into a mic or they can't hear you. It's like it never happened. And then we're going to hear from schools that have already started working together, but
Okay,
kind of
I'm
more,
all over
more of a informal conversation.
Yeah, can you guys be my paper passers? Good evening, everybody. Thank you for coming. I always love coming to the Parent Council. I think I've been here long enough that I know most of everybody in the audience. I want to just give you a little bit of a history about sister schools. It was started back in, I think it had to be close to maybe 2005. We started it and we partnered up schools and it got some steam and it went on for a couple of years and then it kind of faded. But the reason that it has been especially important to me, because Tavon to this day still continues their sister school project along with Desert Canyon Elementary School. And one of the parents, Laura right here, came and talked to me and said, Margaret, we need to get the sister schools project started again. And so we talked about it, we started looking, we started trying to get people with our committee to go and everything, and we were really streaming along. And then I unfortunately got sick, and I was out for 2.5 months. And by the way, Parent Council, thank you for the flowers that you sent me. They were so beautiful, and they made me cry. Everything makes me cry lately. But anyway, thank you for the flowers. But I'm back, and I'm ready to go. So you ready to get our sister schools started? Okay, you have a couple of flyers right by you. Okay, the first one that you have is the yellow one. Can you tell I was a kindergarten teacher? I color code. Okay, the yellow one is who we as a committee are asking for these schools to partner. The next one gives a little history about sister schools, and we broke it down, but what is a sister school? A sister school's mission, what are the goals? What's the principal's role? The teacher's role, the class-to-class model, the school-to-school model, and school district to school district. This is just a little bit of research. And then this was the fun one. I don't know if you all remember the last time that we all got together and we talked about sister schools, decided to go with it, and we got into small groups, and we brainstormed some ideas. Now, if you want to look at this, and it is a lot of fun, because when we talked about sister schools, it's not easy, but it is a lot, it is easier to decide what can some of our more affluent schools do for some of our most needy schools. Where the real hard part comes is what can our needy schools do for the other schools? So I just want to make sure that we all know that Sister Schools is not about donations and money. It's about building a culture of community in our school district. And it's funny because when I Googled sister schools, the only kind of sister schools information I can find are sister schools with China, sister schools with Canada, Mexico. You do not find a lot about sister schools within the United States and each other, and less sister schools within a district. And our district is not, our district is big enough to do this. Probably Mesa's big enough to do it. Maybe Paradise Valley, but none of them are doing it. We're doing it. We're going to be the example, and we're going to be the role models for all the districts. Are you ready? Oh, come on, guys. Are you ready? Yeah. Okay. So anyway, let's look at some of these opportunities that we can have with sister schools. And the one I put at the very top was writing activities. Right now, with so much of our technology and everything that we have going on, we're losing the not the ability, but the time for our kids to practice writing letters, writing notes. That's an art. And we want to make sure that our kids are able to also do handwriting as well as to be able to use the computer. So what could they do? And now technology, especially after hearing Dr. Menzel talk, all the opportunities that we have, because we're one of the most fortunate districts that we have one-on-one devices for our kids. Not many districts have that, but each one of our schools, thank you to our school board, makes sure that our kids all have their own computer. We can have math competitions between classes, math competitions between the two schools. I mean, the holidays just has a plethora of things that we can do for our kids and for each other's sister schools. I know that Desert Canyon, and I'll keep talking a lot about Desert Canyon and Tavon, because that's the only place I was ever a principal, was Tavon, 24 years. But one of the things they've done is they sponsor families for Christmas, families that don't have the money or whatever to be able to afford gifts for their kids or whatever. They've done that. So then we started thinking, well, what could we do? And what we would do at Tavon, I had a club called the Mamacitas, and they did a big Christmas dinner and celebration for the teachers at Desert Canyon, and we had our chorus go and sing for them. So again, it's not an even exchange if you look at it monetarily, but it is a really awesome exchange of the hearts. Classroom supply sponsorships, food drives. Many times when my PTO at Tavon did not have the funds to be able to provide teacher appreciation meals, meals maybe for parent-teacher conferences, and there would come my Desert Canyon mommies with things to make my teachers feel special. I'll just look through. This is another one that we did at the time. We call it a co-sponsor day of gratitude, where we would partner up classes with classes, and they would write notes and talk to each other. And at the time, we didn't have the one-on-one technology, but we'd have a day of gratitude where Tavon and Desert Canyon would email each other or write to each other of things they were grateful for. Some other things that we did. Oh, this was the first year that we did. We had the classes, the fifth graders design maps of the school, and then they sent them to Tavon. The Tavon fifth graders went to Desert Canyon. They had a baseball game. Then they had to follow the map that their partner had given to kind of understand what was going on at Desert Canyon Elementary School. So anyway, it goes on and on, these really crazy things. And these are just suggestions that you can go and share with your PTO, PTA. We had we also partnered classes. So we would partner a third grade class with the third grade class. And one week right before Easter, they each tie-dyed T-shirts, and they exchanged them with each other. And the ones from Tavon had Tavon, the ones from Desert Camden had DCES on it, and the kids were wearing them on the other side of the community. It was really cool. Sister school dress-up days where we did spirit days, and we would say, you know, this was pirate day, this was dress as your favorite movie star days. Then they take pictures and they switch them with each other. But the pen pal part were the best. And right before I left the principalship, we were going to have a day in the park where our fifth graders would meet so they could really meet face to face with their pen pals. And we did that 1 year, but then the next year I left, and then things started changing. But these are just a little bit of the ideas that you have. But right now, on there I encourage, and I know it's already too late in the school year now. We have 26 days. Who's counting? We have 26 days left, but this is something that I would like for us to work on this summer, where I would ask each school to designate one person that would be their sister school's designee to set up meetings between the two schools. So, any questions about what I've talked about so far? And if you have any questions of all these crazy things I put in here, call me. Yes?
So when you say, like, you would like a school to designate one rep, in your experience, excuse me, was that a PTO? Okay.
It was usually the PTO and the assistant principal that did it.
I have a follow-up. I'm sorry, you want me to? So I guess to go with that, is this a more of a PTO-driven, like, did you as the principal spearhead a lot of these, or
Yes.
your PTO did?
Well, it all depended, excuse me. It all depends on the schools. I would definitely, the first thing I would start off with, and I'm going to be sharing this with the principals, and I already have, and I brought two of my principals today to kind of tell you a little bit of what they've been doing with their sister schools. But again, it's always the heartbeat of the school is that principal. So that's where I will start. The principal then would designate maybe a staff member, maybe their assistant, and then I would hope that my parent group would designate somebody. And it's just a team thing, and you can build it however you want. Okay? Any other, you had another question? No? Any other ones? Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. I'm looking at your sister school list, and I'm from Desert Mountain High School. Are the what's
We
going
are
on with
leaving the high schools because high school has service learning, and their service learning, right now, I think if I put another thing on the principals, you might find me hanging from the flagpole. And so I just think that our high school right now, those principals, those teachers, those parents, they just need a break. So we have included the middle schools and the elementary schools. Some of them we've doubled up because it's our district is so diverse in every way you can possibly imagine, and we're very diverse in the size of our schools. So you have Cheyenne that has 700 kids. Walt, how many do you have? 700, and then we have some schools that have 350 and 400. So we've tried to be really thoughtful about who we match together. And remember, guys, we're starting this journey together. We can build it any way that we want. But this is the one thing that I am the most proud of Scottsdale. We're the innovators. We're the ones that everybody wants to copy. Did I say that? But we are. We are the ones that set the pace for the entire valley. Whenever curriculum starts, whenever new initiatives start, it starts here in our district. So let's be the role model for everyone. Do you have something?
Yeah, actually, it's interesting. I have a question about middle school. So
Sure.
I have 2 middle school boys and an elementary school girl. And now that I have 2 middle school boys, they were at 2 opposite schools. One was at Mountain Time, one was at Mojave. Now they're both at Mojave. But I think about it and think about middle schools, and I'm wondering what you see, because middle schoolers are different.
Mm-hmm.
They go through something really unique. And I think it seems more challenging.
Absolutely.
And so I just wanted to know if you have any thoughts on how you envision that. I know Cocopa works really well with Coronado, but I'm wondering about how the other middle schools.
Okay. If you look in the back page on the first column, this is what communities, this is what Sister Schools is meant to do. It's to teach the joy of helping others. And helping others isn't just monetary. I remember when we had sister schools, there was some middle schoolers and high schoolers that were doing tutoring. And now, what a great way we have for this is a great way for even our parents, if they want to say, I would love to tutor, I'm an engineer, I would love to tutor a student in math at Tonalea. Wow. You know, I will give 4 hours of tutoring. Also to practice volunteerism and exchange gratitude and come up with ways of being kind to make our Scottsdale an environment. It's named one of the best cities in the world to live in. Well, we have to start with our kids, and we need to start teaching our children that it is important to give even more than to receive. And this is a chance to do it. And this is a chance for parents to work with their kids. What a great thing. I know how you are. You think innovatively. Let's start a food drive. Let's do a sock drive. Let's go ahead. Oh, I know one thing that somebody talked to me about they were going to be doing. Some middle schoolers are going to make a video for their sister school on manners. Other ones want to make a video on riding the bus and how to have etiquette, how to move over, how to slide over. I mean, just you could do whatever you want. It's about giving. And the thing that we want to give most is our hearts and our time. Does that make sense? We can all go to Walmart and buy Christmas presents and wrap them up and give them, and that gives joy for Christmas. But I want our kids to be able to give joy for their entire life and for them to become men and women for others. So, anybody else have another comment or question?
May I follow up on it?
Sure.
So logistically is what I'm thinking, because I want to make it happen, right? So I'm at a school, so I know that how the PTOs on both schools are situated, and so I wonder, because some of the schools are in flux, how to logistically make it happen. So, like, who's in charge? Because I know right now
Your committee will be in charge.
Well, that's the thing. There's with the sister school committee.
No, we are the Sister Schools Committee. We got it together for you. We organized it. Now you do what you want to do with it.
Well,
so let me give you an example.
Well, who's going to be on the committee is what I'm trying to figure out.
I would talk to my principal about it.
Okay.
Your principal should be the one that gets the committee going.
Okay.
That's going to be your nucleus. I remember another sister school project that we did. We had a movie night at, I can't remember what it was. I'll say it was Taban and Desert Canyon, but it wasn't. I mean, it'd be so great to schedule a movie night, and everybody comes to their movie night at Taban. Everybody goes to their movie night at Desert Canyon, but you have another screen that sets up where we're watching each other watch the movies. It's just building that partnership, and that because there's something that I always promise I'd never, ever say, and I'm going to say it tonight. I want that north and south boundary, I want that erased. We do not have northern schools. We do not have southern schools. We have SUSD schools. And there's another thing, you know, we're only as strong as the weakest link in a chain. Well, we don't want any weak links in our chain at Scottsdale Unified School District. And again, do I have the answers? Heck no. Along with Laura, we put it together. It's up to you guys to be the model schools. But I'll tell you one thing, I'll be here next year and I'll be looking for things. We'll be showcasing everything we do at the board meetings. We'll get the newspapers involved, the TV involved. It's a chance for goodness. I always used to tell my kids, and I tell my principals, right now, if you have truth and goodness on your side, there's nothing you can't do. So that's what we're going to do with this. Yes?
Just to kind of follow up to your question, I'm sorry I don't remember your name, Laura. I know, being from Desert Mountain, as a PTO and as a community, we've been talking a lot about community and service and doing good acts of kindness. So, and I understand the reason why they're not included, but given your point of middle schoolers, I have one too. Without maybe the principal, maybe there's a way the high school kids can help the middle school
Absolutely.
kids. And so once that committee's formed, bring it up with the PTO or contact me, because I know that there are kids and people there that would really want to help, and maybe just they could be the role models to the middle schoolers. But because I was all excited to have a sister school.
Yeah. Well, but
So
hey,
I'm
there's
thinking,
nothing that
well, we
prevents
can
you
help
from doing
the
it.
middle school, and it's right next door to us. And
Go
so,
for it. Be
and then
the
it
role
kind of
model.
bypasses the principal, like, because it's the other principal. Yeah.
But
yeah,
that's
which
what
makes
a,
sense.
But what a
So-
good principal does, and I took me about 5 years to learn it, and I put on about 20 pounds before I learned this, is we need to learn how to delegate. We can't hold the whole world on our shoulders. And I'll tell you, when a principal builds a culture where they empower their teachers, teachers will jump up and down to do it. And the community jumps up and downs to do it, because I very, very rarely have ever gone to a business or a parent and asked something on behalf of children that they don't say yes. So again, it's yours to build however you want. I think you have a question?
It's just more logistics. So our principal will choose the committee among the staff. Do you have any idea, like, what do you recommend?
I'll tell you how we did it.
Okay.
At my school, we were very blessed to have a community specialist. So we had, and I know that the northern schools share. I think they share 2 of them, but the community specialist is one that helped with it. The PTO picked a member that headed the committee, and I also had a teacher,
Okay.
and they ran with it.
Okay.
They ran with it. And, again, we're going to have some that'll pitter-patter along the way, and then we're going to have some that'll zoom. Well, I want you to be the zoomers for that. I have somebody right here. Can I have my 2 principals come up? I'd like for them to tell you a little bit of their experience with sister schools.
Hi, everybody. I'm Walt Chandler. I'm the principal of Cherokee Elementary School. This is my 24th year in the district as an administrator. And, the sister schools thing is something that we've had in our district before, but this year we've kind of rebooted it. And I want to thank Margaret Cerna for her vision, because it's something that is really exciting. Matt Patzloff here.
Hello, everyone. First off, National Volunteer Week. So hopefully you've been told thank you, because you're all volunteering tonight. You should all smile because you're volunteering tonight. Everyone? Okay, there we go. There we go. Cold room. So thank you for being here. Thank you for helping SUSD. That's one of the reasons why I choose to work in SUSD, is people are very supportive. So I love SUSD. I've been in the district 18 years, 7 years middle school teacher, assistant principal, and now 7 years as principal of Navajo. So as Walt was sharing, so Margaret kind of got this program started. If you look at the stamp on the sheet, we got this at the November principals meeting. Walt and I were really disappointed we were assigned to each other, because we don't like each other at all.
Not at all.
So Walt and I are good buds, talked about things, and then Walt came up with some ideas and stuff that his PTO was doing. Ryan here. Ryan, give everyone a wave. So Ryan is our PTO vice president. We talked about our PTOs collaborating. We're at the very surface level of getting things going, but we've done a handful of things so far that have been a good experience for collaborating within our schools. You want to start talking about some of those?
Yeah,
maybe?
so, what's neat about the Sister Schools program as it now sits is that we actually have some guidance. We can make this more of a formal process. We've kind of been, flying the plane as we're building it, and the more opportunities we get to meet and learn more about each other, the more we can build that collective capacity. There's so many amazing things going on at Navajo that I would not have known about unless we were paired. And we've had an opportunity to visit Navajo. He's got a STEAM program over there, and it knocked our socks off. And it's something that we want to possibly replicate at Cherokee, because that is an interest of ours. So it may be something that kind of jumpstarts a process. Matt has been welcoming enough to invite some of our fathers and some other members of the community to come check out his STEAM labs so that we can see what it looks like, in practice. We've had lots of partnerships with other schools, throughout the years, but this feels really special. And when we look at some of these things on the list here, we have so many ideas for next year. We want to put our Dads Club together and have them do a joint event of some sort. We want to play them in kickball, as a matter of
Kickball
fact.
game for the dads. Wouldn't that be
some
fun?
Camaraderie.
Yeah.
The pen pal situation, we're definitely going to do that. My APT actually went over to their school one day and stocked their fridge. and
a
gave their
snack
teachers-
attack.
Yes,
We
snack
love
attack,
eating
we
at
call
Navajo.
it.
We love celebrating. It was great.
You know, our staff sometimes, you know, they don't get enough recognition and enough of those little fun things. And that's one of the things that my community can provide to Navajo, and we'd love to do that kind of thing.
The other one that I think is really cool at Navajo, so a banner about this big here behind, it has Navajo's logo and Cherokee's logo on it, and we had every kid from each of our schools sign each other's, and then we have it posted in our cafeteria. So when I go in the cafe and like tell my dad jokes and stuff, you know, Mr. Patzloff, what is this? And I'll talk to him about it in our sister school, and we're doing things together. Walt School has an amazing robotics program, so we've gotten some ideas from them. So it's kind of had us collaborate a little bit more just to build that collective capacity within our school district.
And this is the first year we've had a robotics competitive team, and part of that was because we wanted to be like Navajo. So just a lot of great things, I think, can come out of some of these partnerships. A lot of the partnerships of the schools were very purposeful. I'm very happy that we were paired with Navajo, and know that in the next year we will have many of these items kind of checked off, because these things will make both of our communities stronger.
So someone was talking about a committee, so to speak. So if you tell teachers committee, they're going to duck under the table because there's a lot of committees going on. So more informal, we were talking about, we have our TILs, our leadership team on campus, you know, getting our leadership teams together. Second grade, they're writing formal friendly letters, getting our second grades together. We have other ideas that we're going to incorporate slowly, but again, we've been together about 4 or 5 months now, so getting the ideas going. But we were really happy when Margaret brought this to us at the November principals meeting, just to share some ideas and to bring this back and get it started, because it's kind of been going on in pockets over the last handful of years, but not to this extent.
And I love the idea of having a liaison on the parent associations to work with us. Up till this point, it's kind of been the principals that have led the charge. So to have a parent kind of more involved, you know, to knock off some of these items on these lists, I think would be fabulous.
What questions do you have for us?
How do you recommend we ask our principals with, you know, how to, the verbiage, you know, without.
So the question was, how do you recommend we ask our principals? You could ask them directly about who their sister school is, or for the school that you are representing, is there someone from the other school here? Because like I know Ryan talked to me about it before I even got this list from Margaret. So Ryan came back from a parent council meeting and knew, or somehow you had an idea, yeah, about it. And I was like, oh, it's on our principal agenda item, I think tomorrow. And then I talked to you a little bit more about it. So if there's someone here for you to talk with as well, I would recommend that ahead of time. If there isn't, I would just ask like the principal at a PTO meeting or email or.
What school are you at?
Mojave Anasazi? You said Mojave and Anasazi? Yeah.
Okay.
So Jen and Paul, shoot them a text, say, what are you doing for sister schools? Who is it? Yeah.
Well, I know it's Pueblo, so, and I'm sitting next.
There you go.
And Margaret's in the room, so she
Yeah.
can, I'll help with
Yeah.
that as well.
A suggestion I'd like to make is maybe at one of our first parent council meetings that we have next year, that we invite the PTO presidents and have them sit together with their sister school, and we can start doing it that way.
So 12 years, 13 years ago maybe, I was an assistant principal covering for my principal, and it was actually at Cocopa. There was a meeting with Scottsdale Parent Council where we went. So principals went. I was an assistant principal at that point with my PTO president, and they had a sitting at like a four-top. So I was at this AP of Copper Ridge, and I was with the principal and then the PTO presidents. So we were sitting at a table together, collaborating for a couple hours at Cocopa one day, I remember, because I was covering for my principal. So something like that might be an idea that was done 12 or 13 years ago, you know? Mm-hmm.
Have you found that both of your PTOs have been on board, like, you know, working, like, you two have seemed like you've got this going and you're working well, but both PTOs equally on board and working with each other?
So the question was, are both our PTOs on board and equally working together? I will say yes. I have a very good relationship with our PTO, text, phone calls, connecting.
Jenny is here from my APT.
There we go.
And it's exciting. You know, when we went to visit the school, just the ideas that we were able to gather walking around the campus, were very valuable.
And then formally, of course, like me, either I sent you, I'm sure, a text or a thank you when we talked, but then I always like to share things on social media. So sharing it, thank you to the Cherokee APT for providing snacks for Navajo staff today. We appreciate you, SUSD 1, something like that, as well. To acknowledge that is, I think, really important as well. What other questions do you have? A lot of cool ideas, a lot of possibilities. I think it's not just my 2 cents on it from what Margaret was saying. I think it's not just the PTO's responsibility, not just the principals, not just the teachers, but everyone together kind of building those ideas and working together. And that's a community, and that's what Sister Schools is. I think that's the sense of it overall.
Jenny, not to put you on the spot, but how do you think, your colleagues are feeling about this?
My PTO colleagues, I think they're feeling good about it. I think it's been really well received at Cherokee, and just knowing, like you guys said, we did the snack attack, teacher appreciation, the banner, but then also just knowing that we have a sister school, we've incorporated it into other things we're doing, like invited you guys to our speaker series. Just little things that we're doing. It's like, well, why don't we open that up to our sister school? So it's kind of amazing, like things just pop up that you're already doing. It's like, well, let's incorporate that. So I think it's been really well received.
And one of the things that we had talked about at a PTO meeting, I don't think we ever landed on it, but has anyone ever worked a PTO event in this room? And you just like are dragging it, and you're like, how was the event? I don't know, I was busy working it. How cool would it be? A lot of coordination, but how cool would it be to swap out some of those responsibilities so you could be mom, you could be dad, you could enjoy the actual event, not just head down, going to town, working, cleaning up, going through. We're trying to get more of our NJHS and our High School Honor Society and alum to come back to help, but it's still heavily PTO run. So to be able to swap out some of those activities and duties so you could enjoy it a little bit more. I mean, we've talked about other things, but getting it into play hasn't happened exactly yet. Yeah. Yeah, Joe.
So Cocopa was actually kind of partnered with Coronado before we learned that there'd be a sister school program. And so we started working with them, and our APT, our principal, everybody has been so supportive. This year we did a Halloween costume drive, and because there's the Coronado, the community closet and the community pantry, we collected all different sizes of costumes. We did a Thanksgiving food drive, and we also just on a regular basis kind of help fill the pantry. I'll go and kind of see what's needed. And one of the things with their community specialist, Rebecca Rivera, that I've been working with, they really want to remodel the community closet and the pantry. And so it's kind of like a slow process, but it's also something that Coco Pow, we're kind of hoping that we can find ways to help them with that project. And then getting the list here, oh my gosh, there's just so many amazing things on it. So I can hardly wait to go back to our APT and start figuring out where we want to start. So thank you.
Awesome ideas.
Start small and go big. Don't start big and think we have to do all these things. Start, pick maybe 2 or 3. And then I'd also suggest that when you have your parent council meetings, you do a share. You do a quick share. I just want to share what Sister Schools did. And I really like your idea about of some of our schools that struggle to be able to give. I know that some of them have gone and worked. The parents go and work the carnival because those carnival parents never get to enjoy the carnival with their kids. So
Yeah.
wasn't that great if somebody will sit there, make the cotton candy so you can go out and have fun with your kids?
So I donated some of those Halloween costumes because I have a kid at Cocopa, so that was cool. I didn't actually know it was Sister Schools. I thought I didn't know what it went for, but I knew it went to another school, so that's awesome. And then I also have children at Sequoia, and I thought it was really cool. Every school does like a Valentine's social fun thing, dance. And I don't even know if I told you this yet, Margaret. And I'm walking around as dad for the night, not as principal, and I see the Yavapai principal serving pizza to give other people a break because that's the sister school with
Sequoia.
Sequoia. So she's like, I'm going to give a few hours on my way home anyways. I drive right past the school to be able to do something like that and to give back. So that was kind of cool. And her community specialist was there. So just another idea of other things that I've seen that are pretty cool. Yeah.
Make it fun.
Yeah.
So the plan is you're going to go back, talk with your principal, talk with your PTO, start talking about next year. At the beginning of the year, we'll have a big kickoff, and I'm going to be making some keys. And so Tavon will give a key to Desert Canyon, and Desert Canyon will give a key to Tavon, and they know that they are in the same house. So we have a lot of good stuff to do. You guys excited? I am. I think it's going to be fun.
It's almost 7 o'clock on a weeknight, Margaret.
Thank
Everyone's
you.
ready
Go,
for bed.
Go home. Go home.
We're ready for bed,
I'll bring
Margaret.
you guys Starbucks, but not tomorrow because I get up too late. Okay.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. I just want to end this with something. I hope you'll indulge me. I was informed, when was it? About 2 weeks ago, that the Charros have started a new award. It's called the John Creekart Legacy Award. And I am the inaugural recipient, and I am so excited. But I started thinking about that, and ever since I had my stroke, I'm a big crybaby. But I started thinking about somebody that I admired so much and that I get an award in his name. I started thinking about the people that helped me get there. And I have some coins I want to give tonight. Okay, and the first one is to Laura Wishoff. If you could come up, Laura. Because I'll tell you, if it hadn't been for my principals and my teachers and my students and some really significant parents, you being one of them, because she really helped me get the sister schools going and everything, so please accept this coin. And I can't wait for you to give it to your daughters. Okay, then I have another one, a coin I want to give to, and that's to the camera lady. I met her when I first came to the district office, and she and I started a program that, well, she really did. It was called the Intergenerational Tutoring Program. And we put it all out to the public. We went to the, the community centers and everything. And we had 20 tutors. And I mean, guys, they were retired doctors, lawyers, politician, a legislator. And they would go and they would tutor at Yavapai 1 day a week. And we were going, we were kicking butt, we were doing good. Then came COVID. And it's been really hard to try to get it going again because our older people are afraid, you know, and they don't want to get sick. And so we kind of lost it at COVID. But, you know, it's parents like the both of you that shaped me to try to be a leader in my district. And I love my school district. And there's nothing I wouldn't do for what I call my young scholars. And in this honor, I want to share my honor with you. So accept that coin. And oh, and I have little trophy things for you to put them on so you can show them off. So anyway, I have a lot of more coins where those came from. So let's get out there and do good things for kids. Okay? Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much. Okay, up next on our agenda are executive board updates. Here's our budget update. We had some grant income from last month, and then our recurring email expense went up by another, whatever the monthly rate is, 23, I think. Okay, so we have this year, every other year, we do a financial audit, and we had a committee of me, Camille Busey, Dave May, Leanne, I cannot pronounce her last name, but her other last name is Brecky, and Adrian Bass. And the report will be available on our website at this address, probably by this weekend. And I'm just going to summarize for you very quickly some of the findings. So we examined SVC's accounts for the portion of fiscal year 2022 that was not examined in the previous audit. So that was October 2021 to June 2022. We looked at all of fiscal year 2023, and then for the current fiscal year, we looked at July 2023 to January 2024. The good news is every penny was accounted for. And we've also been using the same software and the same labels for all of our budget for all of the periods that were examined. So it was really easy to kind of follow all of that. Standardizing budget categories and accounting software was one of the recommendations of the previous report, so we checked that off. The recommendations that we made, so really, like every penny was accounted for, but we could do a better job detailing some of, like in some of the notes of the transaction. So for example, if you have income from PayPal and it's like several different people sent you money through PayPal, that just comes in a lump sum. So if you want to track who, you know, where your donations are coming from, you have to do a better job keeping notes. So anyway, that basically were the only major recommendations of the report. Okay, does anyone have any questions? If you want, it'll be on the website if you want to read it. Okay, so now I'm going to talk about upcoming events. There are two really important ones that are happening through the school district. There are flyers on the table by the sign-in sheets for both of these events. So tomorrow at Desert Mountain, there is a community education event on fentanyl, which is really important for our communities. I cannot say that enough, what's going on. So that's happening tomorrow at Desert Mountain. There's another one happening next week, Tuesday, at Chaparral. And again, there are paper flyers of both of these events. We shared these on our social media. They're on SUSD social media, and hopefully you saw them coming through Peach Jar emails as well. Okay, and I'm gonna let, yeah.
Are teams, do they expect people to bring students to the events? I was just wondering.
I do not know if it's a kid, but yeah. Yeah, so my guess is it would be fine just because not my kid, but maybe the QR code, the register, would give more information. Okay, so we have our final PTO roundtable of the year will be on May 1st. It'll be here in the evening. Doors will open at 5:45 and it'll start at 6 p.m. The title of it is The Legalities. Do you want to give more?
I'm like really nerding out about it. I'm like really excited. So every year you have an incoming board, and a lot of times they don't know what the annual report or the significance of it is and all the regulations. So we have the Arizona Corporation Commission's Corporations Director coming in to talk with PTOs to help them understand the process and the legalities of your annual reports and filling out the change of directors and change of officers every year. So I think it's really good information for all the PTOs to have. And then also we have, because if you saw the last governing board meeting, there was, and this is something especially for high school, I would say for Desert Mountain, I think one of your boosters already reached out. They have introduced a policy that is just a very standard general policy about booster clubs. It's mostly all the districts have this. It's a governing board policy that basically will acknowledge all of the parent groups. What this could possibly do is a lot of good things for the PTOs. I think it'll be helpful and give the boosters and the PTOs and ABTs more guidance in terms of how they're supposed to run. So Nicholas Buzan is coming. He's the general counsel for SUSD. And this is just a draft. So nothing has been decided. So this is like an opportunity for the general counsel to meet with all the PTO boards and say, hey, what can we do for you too to help this policy be implemented so that it's sustainable in the future, so we don't have to constantly reinvent the wheel as parent-teacher organizations. So I think it's an important one.
Okay, and later in May, we'll have our final general meeting for SPC. The topic is summer engagement. And I don't have a slide for this, but I want to give a shout out that nominations are open for SPC Executive Board. So if you're interested in serving on the board next year, you can find how to sign up. I go to our social media because link in the email, it's written correctly, but if you click on it, it takes you to last year's, but I renamed the form, so it'll take you to this year's. Anyway, if you have any questions about any positions or how to find the nomination form, you can ask me. The nomination committee, Lisa Kanarish is on it, Nasli is on it, and I think that's it for, yeah, Brian Novak is not here, and then I'm blanking, oh, Tammy is the fourth. So they can also answer your questions as well, or you can email me and I'll direct you to them. Okay, so the last thing on the agenda are any rep announcements.
Desert Mountain is going to host their first annual day of service, and it's based on Columbine High School for the shooting there. And my son, before we moved here, both of my sons went to Columbine High School, and they participated in it. And then my son right now, who's a senior at Desert Mountain, when we came here last year, typically what happens at Columbine is they take the day off, and doesn't, any day during the week, nobody goes to school. It's just a day, and the school's opened up for families of victims or whoever would like to come. And then about 10 years ago, a couple of the teachers got together and thought, we should be doing something besides just going home and being sad by ourselves. And before Columbine really does anything about the shooting, they always get the input from the families, survivors, the families, victims of, you know what I'm trying to say. But anyway, so they had this big meeting, and everyone thought it was a great idea to do a day of service. So the kids still have the day off. The school is still closed that day. But now there are probably about 1,500 kids at Columbine. The school's maybe 2,000 will volunteer that day, and they wear T-shirts, and they go out in the community and do just acts of kindness, and they're pre-planned, and it's gotten bigger over the years. It started small, and now it's a lot bigger. It's spread to like 4 different countries and 10 different states in the United States, just from kids like my son who want to start something. And my son went to a thing at the school, and one of the mothers of her daughter was shot and killed. And he was talking to her after she spoke, and she said, "Oh, well, what do you want to do next year? Like, what are you going to volunteer for?" And Spencer said, "Oh, we're moving." And he said, "But I'm still going to do something." And he goes, "Actually, I should start a day of service." And so that's what he's done. So I just want to let everybody know we're starting very small. He's learning a lot about planning an event, but we're starting small. It won't be on April 20th, but we're going to do April 25th this year, and they're going to do Feed My Children. So it's a little bit different than Columbine's, but it's a start, and there are a lot of different legality issues that we're running into. But my youngest son is going to be a freshman next year at Desert Mountain. So he'll take over, and my son's kind of created a little club, even though he's like, it's not a club, it's an event. I want to have an event every year at a certain time. But what we're hoping, Grand Canyon University was really helpful, and they got all excited about it, and they're going to help next year. But we're hoping someday to, open it up to be a district thing. And so everybody could do something. And just it fits so well today with the sister schools. And I was thinking, what a great day. Because a lot of these things on this list, that's what the kids at Columbine do. They would bring cupcakes and cookies to the firemen or the paramedics. They'd go to the emergency rooms and bring snacks. They'd go clean up other schools' area, pick up trash. They would judge science fair projects at another elementary school that happened to land on that day. So there's just, it was a ton of little things and then some bigger things, go fix someone's whole yard or go paint a house or paint the inside. It just kind of depended. But this is the first annual year, and we're hoping, I know at Desert Mountain, it fits in perfectly. Desert Mountain really is trying to work on community and outreach and getting everyone to just show some kindness and respect and understanding and kind of help each other. So this is the first one, and it's going off. So very happy about that. And my son is going to University of Arizona, so he's like, I'm coming back next year because now I know better, and so he's going to help too. But it's just a fun a really neat idea, and I'm proud of him. Obviously, I'm his mom, but I also just love the idea of being able to give back and do this. So that's what we're doing.
Thank you. That's awesome. Does anyone else have any announcements? Okay. Thank you all so much for coming. And we will see you next month at our general meeting after we've seen you on May 1st for the PTO roundtable.